All right, welcome. So we are meeting today for the new moon in Aquarius, and I'm gonna look over here because my camera is on my computer right here, but my screen's messed up, so I have a better screen over here. So I'm gonna be looking like off into the distance, but but that's where my screen is. So
It'll make you seem more ethereal.
right, I'm just like looking into the abyss over here. But I'm really excited. This is the first new moon of 2025. It's also landing on the day where in the Chinese astrology, we're moving into the wood snake year. So it's all happening today, which is really unique because in Chinese astrology, which I'm not an expert at all in, but usually it's in February that starts. But it aligned this year, midweek, January. Um, and we also have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So I want to talk about both of those things, the new moon in Aquarius and Mercury conjunct Pluto a little bit. But with any new moon, this is the beginning of the lunar cycle. And this is when the sun and the moon are like combined in the sky. So the reflection, so the moon is dark because the sun is not shining onto it. It's kind of like it's shadowing it. So this is an inward time, an inward focused time. And the moon is all about our emotions. And the moon and the sun, when it comes to a new moon or a full moon, they're in a relation. And the sun is like our masculine outward personality, ego, creativity. And the moon is our inner world, feminine, emotional world. And they're working together. And right now, because it's a new moon, they're in the same sign, so the same archetype, and allowing us to go deeper into that archetype emotionally and inside in a feminine way. So this is happening in Aquarius, which is a really big theme for humanity right now. And Pluto just moved into Aquarius last November, where it's starting a 20-year transit, which is so long. And it's all about, well, for Pluto, it's like we're going to be going through this crazy transformation. And we're already been feeling this almost age of Aquarius thing. I know people talk about like the age of Aquarius. We're not technically in the age of Aquarius, but we are right in that, right before that happens. We are right in the midst of that. So where we're starting to get the energy of what the age of Aquarius is going to be like in like 300 years. Like think Star Trek. That's like the best example. If you watch Star Trek, we watch that a lot over here. I like it better than Star Wars because Star Trek is utopia, for the most part. Like they don't have money, like they don't need, like there's not really war. Like Earth is good, so they're able to explore and do crazy things. Obviously, we're not there yet. We're like babies still figuring out how to not kill each other and deal with technology. Technology is our little baby that we're like, ooh, this is interesting. We're gonna play with this and see what happens, and we're gonna mess up a bunch of stuff. Um, but anyway, the Aquarian energy, the reason I'm bringing that up is because the Aquarius is really focused on evolution, and part of our evolution right now is into technology. Then Aquarius rules technology. It also rules astrology, and it's also about community, but not community in the sense that we're all little drones of the same, like humming along like a hive mind. It's like community as in we're all unique expressions, individuals, and we come together and we play in that. And we're like flowing in between the different tribes of people and different communities, and we're able to see that our differences make us better and stronger. Like we need to stay unique. We need to be who we are, um, because that is gonna bring like that's you shining your light and shining your gifts. And if you're not being yourself and you're trying to conform and be like everybody else, you're actually taking away from what you could be giving to others. It's actually very selfish to do, to be like hiding and shying away and not being who you truly are. So those are some of the themes for Aquarius. It's all about um, kind of like a rebellious nature. It's about liberation, and liberation and evolution kind of go hand in hand because over time we liberate, we evolve. Cool, we're at this new thing, and then we get stuck in it. it's going good, we're solid, we're stable, we find stability in it, and then it's like we're stuck. And then it's like, okay, the next thing has to happen. So something, bam, shake it up, bam, rebels, and we're gonna fight against this thing. And it's like, liberated, and now we're like evolved. So that's like the cycle of Aquarius in a sense. But let's take it back. This is a new moon. This isn't we could play into that with the whole like Pluto transit. So Aquarian energy is still going to be a really big theme for us for the next 20 years. But just for today, for right now, for this month, for this year, this new moon in Aquarius, where are you inside? Like, where are you being your authentic you inside, in your emotions, in your inner world? The moon's all about the inner world. I also want to point out the degree that this is happening, the astrological degree is also correlating with, I like to bring in human design and gene keys. I'm not an expert at those things, but I really love the flavor and the depth that that brings to astrology and how they work together. And so the energy of this degree is correlating with the 19th gene key slash human design gate, which in human design, you have like this body graph with these different, almost like chakras, these different energy centers. And the 19 is located in the root. So it's a grounded energy and it's the gate of approach. And in gene keys, yeah, I want to tie into gene keys before going back into human design. But in the gene keys, so I don't want to make this confusing, but we have astrology is older. It's like the oldest, right? It's the stars and this and calculations. It's been around for a very long time. And in different ways than the astrology I'm talking about right now. Like it's been around in like Lemurian times, okay? And I don't know how to do it like that, but it's very old. Human design was channeled information based off of astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and different things like that to create this other newer system, which I think is really cool because that kind of plays into this evolution of like a new thing, like an invention almost of an extension of how we look at energy and how we look at our body. And human design is very embodied. It's very about being here in what, like how your energy moves inside of you. So I love the practicality of human design. And then the gene keys plays into human design. It uses the same sort of gates and stuff like that. But the gene keys is all about an energy of a transformative, like these different layers of the energy of it. So it's very energetic. It's a little bit more ethereal, which I love. But it goes through a shadow, a gift, and the city of a specific expression of energy. And the gene keys talks a lot about like the DNA sequence, and there's 64 and blah, 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 blah. So to bring that in, the energy essence of the degree of this new moon in Aquarius is in the 19. And in gene keys, the shadow of that is codependency. Okay. The gift is sensitivity. And then the city, which means the highest expression, it's kind of what you want to be in, but you're not going to be there all the time because we're human, right? Is sacrifice. And it's like such a, I love this gene key. It's really, I love to contemplate. It's like, there's so much depth in the gene keys. I really recommend reading them. The book, The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. It's really, really, really in depth. But when you're talking about sensitivity, and you're talking about codependency. So that's codependency and sensitivity. That's kind of the realm you're going to be like playing in a lot because we're always going to be doing this shadow work. We're always going to be, life is always going to bring us some challenges we got to work through. And we want to try to be in the gift, or we want to try to be in the city, the highest expression, but maybe we'll touch that. And we kind of want to stay in the gift, but we're going to be playing in the shadow too, you know? So it's like, where are you being codependent in your energy, in your emotions? And codependency doesn't mean that, oh, my boyfriend and we're like inseparable, whatever, I'm codependent with him. It doesn't have to be with a person. It can be with anything. And I think we have so many energy leaks that we're not even aware of a lot of times that we don't realize we're being really codependent on it. And we're not able to just stand in our own And it's because we have the sensitivity and we want to feel like we can be okay. Like, and a big one, and I know a lot, especially you guys in this community, a big one is food. Like, and they talk about this in the 19th gene key about this codependency with food being like a thing. And it's sometimes like it's hard for people to think about it like that, I think, because it's like, well, you need it to live. Like you need it for this and that, but it's like comes back, bring it back to the emotion because we are dealing with the moon. Um, the emotional things that trigger us in our sensitivity that make us reach for something that holds us back, essentially. And how can we make sacrifices, which is the city about sacrifices in our life to actually get where we want to be, to actually do what we need to do and be in our sensitivity and in the strength of that, without reaching for the next thing to like be codependent with us and kind of hold us back. And I think sacrifice gets looked at a lot as a negative term of, well, we shouldn't have to sacrifice. That's so like old paradigm sacrifice. We're going on to this other thing that doesn't require that. And I disagree because everything is sacrifice. Everything is an energy or physical exchange, and every exchange to get anything that is of value requires some type of sacrifice, whether that's your time, your money, an old habit, like a lifestyle where you live, like everything that you need to up level and evolve, which is Aquarius, right? Requires a sacrifice on your behalf. So it's like if we always think of sacrifice in a negative sense, like, oh my God, I have to spend this money, I have to do this thing, like, I wish it like that's so it doesn't need to be like that. I shouldn't have to sacrifice any of my luxuries. I shouldn't have to give up anything that I want and that I like. And if you're always thinking from that perspective, then everything that comes to you that's trying to push you to be better, you are going to like push away from you. And you're gonna lose in that sense. Um, so that's yeah, so that's for the gene key, the energy, and then to bring it into the human design a little bit, the 19 and it comes back to like why we're here. The 19 is community. When you have the 19 either active in your body graph from your birth chart, like you were born that way, or it's being activated like today with a transit. It's activated for all of us today, whether you have it in there or not. It's all about community. And the 19 knows what everybody needs. It can sense because it's sensitivity. It can feel what the community needs, what people need, how to help them, how to do this. It just can sense it. And we can tap into this energy regardless of if it's defined in your thing or not, because things are always moving, in the cosmos, allowing us to tap into everything. Everything is ours. But we have our like structured who we are. And I think that's important to know if you don't know that already. Because it can help you have a clear definition of what's yours, what's not yours. But with the 19 loves to bring people together and it loves to serve the community. And the one of the things you want to look for when this energy is active, or if it's already always active for you, is that you are having clear boundaries with yourself, with your own energy of what you are connecting with. Because anything that has to do with community, which I think we all know, because I think we've all been in multiple communities, maybe, or been in multiple like living situations. I know I used to live for a long time. I've lived in hostels. I've lived on farm with other families. I've lived like it's really beautiful and really hard. It's really like it's kind of a love-hate sometimes, depending on who's there. And even in your family, you know what I mean? Like even being in with your own family is hard because we're different people, but we have to come together, we have to work together, and we have to have our boundaries, but we also have to be flexible. We have to have like it's all these nuanced things. Um, but I believe that we're learning how to do that again because it used to be the way, and now we're like we went totally the opposite into our individuality and cut off from everything, and now we're learning again how to do it and how to do it better and bigger because we have the internet, we have tech, we have all these, we have more resources, all these things that are going to make it easier for us to have community, but also having to learn it in a completely new way and remember it from when we don't remember it, like having to go back and be like, oh my gosh, how did anybody live with people? This is insane or whatever. And it's kind of a learning curve, but where was I going? But with having the boundaries, right? Knowing that it's okay if you have to take a step back and have space and then come back. And that's very important, I believe. If we're too, I think that, and this is kind of like my own thought, not really related to this, but just in general, talking about community, my thoughts are that it works the best when everybody has a lot of their own space as well, especially with families and stuff like that. Like they're the being able to come together and have space, come together and have space. You know
Can
what I
I
mean?
can I pop in and say, can you
Yes.
imagine living with your whole family in like a mud hut? Like just overall, all the things that happen, like in private, um, would be shared in a shared one room structure. So yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Isn't that crazy? And
Yeah.
like when you I've read things of like because there's obviously many cultures still today that have not drifted away from community and they're very interconnected. And even like to the point where people like in certain cultures where you could have your kids, but they're not really your kids. They're everybody's kids. And it's like to me, I'm like, oh my God, like that like I have my way, I want to do it because it's like, you know what I mean? I have that like but in certain cultures, they don't even, that's not even a thought. They're like, we all do it the same way. But that to me, that's the old style. And with the Aquarian style of community, I believe that there is still this, our individual values need to be upheld upheld and together, not like we're going to become all the same. We all have the same beliefs. We can have the same beliefs, but I'm pretty sure everybody in this room, we don't all believe the exact same thing for every single thing. It's just not how we are in this time, you know. But I think that's like the beauty of it. Um, so I guess bringing it back back to the new moon. This is just a day, you know. This is I all the days make up our life, and some days are really crazy and they change us, and some energies we feel really strongly and some we don't. But if we can just kind of bring it back to like the the feeling of that, you know, of what I talked about, and maybe going in and seeing in your life what you're holding really tightly to. Yeah, I had this analogy, I think it was last night. I was like thinking about this. It's like you're holding really tight to something, right? That's the codependency. And if you're like this, you can't have anything else because your hand is completely unavailable for anything. You have to open it up. And that's like the sensitivity. Now it's like, okay, I can feel what else is around. And then you can like you have to sacrifice that thing you were holding so tightly to and be able to like go on to the next thing. So that's kind of like the visual that I had with that for the 19 and for the new moon. So before I go on to Mercury conjunct Pluto, do you guys want to look? I don't know if you guys have your birth chart or if you know what your rising sign is. I can tell you what house, like what area of life that this energy is for you. So if does anybody have know their rising sign?
Um, so my rising sign, I walked out there for a second and my babies just like went nuts. They were like, "You're back!" And I was like, "No, I'm just getting water." Ah. Um, but so my rising is Pisces, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, Robbie's is Cancer, my partner, and Violet is a Libra, sorry, a Leo, and Nina is a Libra. So two
Okay.
water signs, and a fire sign, and an earth or air, fire, and water. Wow, we have all three.
I love that. So for you, so you're the Pisces, this is your 12th house. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like when did we have what was our last like moon call out? Like I feel like we talked about your 12th house before, like a couple months ago for something. But yeah, so the 12th house is like the retreated house. So it is like it's your spirituality, it's the spirit world. Um, a lot of times the things that when things transit our 12th house or they're in our 12th house, they can feel hard to access sometimes. Or on the opposite of that, you feel like you just want to go into that and just kind of hermit from everything else. This is the house of spirituality. This is the house of energy. And so this new moon is like a maybe look into what you are holding on to, which is the codependency, that is maybe preventing you from the next level spiritually or a sensitivity in the spiritual realms. So that would be the focus, I would say, for you for just in general, but for this month. Um, does that make sense at all?
Yeah, yeah. So I actually, personal information, I actually went to codependent meetings 2 years ago. I was I felt like I was definitely codependent because I went from like drugs and alcohol to my toxic, controlling relationship with Nina's father. And then I had to like peel myself away from that. And then it was juice fasting. It was, I am great because I can juice fast. I am amazing because I'm juice fasting. And then it was like, okay, that chapter's over too because I had the pancreas uh, weakness, and it's just too harsh for my pancreas right now to be juicing fruit, unfortunately. I hope to get back to it in moderation. But yeah, to like peel myself away from that. And then I was like free falling, like for a minute, like, what do I do? And I had to find my whole new routine. And yeah, I'm starting to get my feet on the ground with that. But yeah, I definitely noticed that. Like the sacrifice that you talked about too, like sacrificing like my time when I was not feeling well, just saying that's okay, just rest. It's okay not to feel well and surrender that this is not the time to be getting a million things done and actually getting into like a more of a receiving mode because then things kept getting done even though it wasn't working as hard. And um yeah, so yeah, I'm aligned with all of that.
That makes and it's perfect too because now it's not it's like you quit juicing what like over 90 days ago and you
Almost, it's been like 80 days. So I'm
wow.
almost to 3 months. Like I've had a sip here and there, and like I'll make juice for the family and water it down, but none of us are really drinking as much juice. So yeah, it's almost the 3 month mark. Very interesting.
And you're like just now starting to get your like a normalcy where you're like, cool, okay, I can function to where I can start to make more progress. I can live my life. So that's like perfect. Um, I think that's perfect to see like, okay, what almost like what is next now? How can I up my sensitivity and my awareness of where I'm at and like bring in like really feel it, like bring in more of what the next thing might be, you know.
Yeah.
And then Robbie
Love.
was And Ravi was Cancer, right?
Yeah.
So that's his eighth house. So the eighth house is all about um intimacy, transformation. It's also shared finances, and it's also the occult knowledge, hidden knowledge, things that are hidden, secrets. The eighth house can be difficult because it is that way, where it's very the thing with the eighth house is you fully access the eighth house, you need another person. Um, and when you are accessing the eighth house with another person, you have to be vulnerable because it's about depth of relationship, intimacy, and not just like sexually, but just like in every single way, and being vulnerable. And the problem with being vulnerable is you could get hurt. Your heart's out there to just be like stabbed, and you have to be willing to take a risk and also know that if you are not met with the understanding that you think you need, and you get hurt because it's like they don't understand who I really am, and I was so open, but then they took it the wrong way, and now I'm hurt. And the key is like you have to just keep going, keep keep being open, keep being vulnerable, and it's like so that's the thing with the eighth house. I don't know if he has any other planets in the eighth house, but right now he's got the sun and the moon and this new moon there. So for him, um I would look into relationships, and I'll also think like anything that has to do with transformation, anything that has to do with shedding away, which is interesting because this is kind of a transformative process in a way. I don't know if it's really ever labeled that way exactly, but I feel like when you're letting go of something, a codependency type energy, like you have to transform, you have to sacrifice, right? And that's part of a transformation process. But usually it's going to be involved with other people that you're really close to, but it can just be inside too. So for him, that's the theme for him.
Cool. Yeah, and I also got to work on it. Sometimes the codependency, I feel like it's really like it transferred to my lifestyle, so it's not with another person anymore, which makes me feel a lot more grounded because I'm like of course if he's having a terrible day, it affects me a little bit, but it doesn't like mean that I'm going to, fall down or whatever. Like my stuff is dependent on me, and that's a relief. So that's progress that I've come across. But yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah. Was Nina a Leo rising?
Nina's a Libra.
Libra. So that's the fifth house, which is creativity, fun, games, play, like
Anyone
everything.
else in here, Libra? No, sorry.
For her, it's, like new moons are a new energy for the month, especially. So this is just like the I don't want to say the theme of the month, but like a chance to start something new, or look at something in a new way. And, you know, she's a little kid, so sometimes it's hard to like really pin down little kids and what they have going on, but it's all about the fun. It's all about the fun and the games and the play and the good time and the creativity for her. And then Violet was the Leo, and so this is in her seventh house. So this is going to be all about mom and dad relationships. It's like the one-on-one, give me the attention, give that girl attention. And yeah, that's where the focus is going to be.
That makes sense. Yeah, Violet, today, uh, it's funny because I breastfed Nina until she was just turned 5 because the milk came back because I had another pregnancy, and she was like, "Ooh, can I get in on that?" And like from what I've studied, the longer you breastfeed, the higher the IQ. It's good. So I recently cut her off because it was just time. And so she's still like familiar with breastfeeding. And I was breastfeeding Violet and she got close and was just cuddling with me. And Violet yanked her hair and was like, no, that's mine. And I'm just like, guys, I'm not, I guess I am food, but like I'm not just food. Come on. Like it was really funny. It's like you can imagine like a mother dog like with her puppies, like ah, like that's how I felt. So yeah, spot on
So
for
funny.
Violet. And Nina's having a lot of fun lately.
I love that. That's perfect. Okay, anybody else know the rising sign?
What is your guys's? I'm dying to know.
Just in the my rising sign is Taurus.
Okay, so this new moon and the sun in Aquarius is in your 10th house. So that's the house of career. And really, it's the house of your letting your unique gifts shine out into the world. It's like the most seen house. So it's recognition and your legacy. But I would look at um how can you heighten the sensitivity in yourself of what you are putting out there and let go of anything that you feel a codependent relationship with that could be holding you back from your highest potential in career related to it doesn't have to be career per se, but related to you expressing the gifts that you have, the unique gifts that only you have that you get to bring to the world and to all of us. Um, and yeah, does that like have you been playing in that energy lately with the Aquarius season right now?
Yeah, just I mean not like giving it as much energy as I should, but it's like around those realms. It makes sense. Mhm.
Yeah, it's like we all have things to share, and especially with Aquarius. Aquarius is our uniqueness, and we all have unique things that only we can provide, that only we can share, and we can't hold back. The time has come to not hold back ever again. All right, Kevin, do you know your rising sign?
Cancer.
Okay, Cancer. So just like Robbie. So this is like you already heard me kind of talk about it, but the eighth house. And if you're not, involved with a bunch of people, like that's totally fine. It's really just like that transformation and the inner magic. And
So we are all like really good matches, right, Nicole? Like we're Cancer, Pisces, Taurus, and Scorpio. Like all of us mesh so well. That's really cool. And that makes
this
sense.
is Jules, your rising sign is Pisces too?
Did I say that wrong? I told you my sun sign.
Because now I'm like, wait, okay, what is your right? So do you have
Failed you.
your failed you? Hey,
Hey
Chantal.
Chantal, welcome in.
Hello.
We're
Glad
just,
you're here.
oh, hi.
Hi.
We talked a little bit about the new moon. I have
We
this
asked,
recorded, so I'll send it to you. But yeah, and then I was asking rising sign so that I
and I
can tell
gave her my
you.
sun sign
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
to make things more fun.
so you're a Virgo rising, right? I should have caught this because I think I remember you saying that you're a Virgo rising before.
Yes, I am a Pisces, Virgo, Virgo. So
Oh, okay.
my rising and my moon. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Jules, this one for you. And this is actually perfect. It's actually more aligned. Because it's the sixth house, which has to do with diet, lifestyle, health, like the things you do every single day. So it actually makes more sense, even though it is like, ooh, the spiritual thing, because the sixth house and the 12th house are the same axis. So they have some similarities in a way, but this makes much more sense actually. So you're right on track. Everything with what they were talking about with the juicing and the health, it all makes sense to where it's about like what is your routine? Like finding how am I like how can I be okay being my sensitive self, letting go of all the codependent things I do throughout the day to just like survive and like find a peace with that sensitivity to where you don't gotta run and hide and try to like, because I totally understand. I think a lot of us do, especially moms, because or parents or anybody, but like especially because it's just like all these things going everywhere. It's like overstimulation. Um, how can you be okay in that sensitive space, without trying to run to the next energy? But it's still, yeah, it makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense for me. And yeah, everything changed November 12th when I drank the oil of the for the liver cleanse. I mean, I was already in trouble with the fats. I could already feel it, but I was kind of ignoring it and I was like not really facing it. And then everything changed that day. And ever since then, I've been in a huge transformation. So that makes a lot of sense. It really fits.
Awesome. Kevin, I don't know if you wanted to say anything else when we were talking about the eighth house, or if you had any
Yeah, I
like.
was just gonna share just like a little bit about what you were talking about, like the codependency and sensitivity and stuff like that, and just I was thinking about it and like kind of like why I'm here and what I've been going through and that sort of stuff, and a lot of it is the community, and I was part of a large community that maybe I was very maybe codependent on a little bit, where I felt like I needed it, right? And so not that I'm not part of it, but just having that, not feeling like I need to only have one community, like realizing that there's more. And I know that it's kind of like reminding things that because like I have my own multiple communities, you know what I mean? Like even our own, every person's Instagram or their own little
Right.
Facebook or their own little TikTok is their own little mini community, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But part of that also is feeling that I need to be the one to help everyone. Like it needs to be me, almost like an ego kind of thing, and like releasing that, like almost dependent a little bit on that, and realizing like, more of a team effort, more of a community effort, and being and letting go of that. And part of the practice that I've had within that and helping me is just once I helped myself and once I helped one other, let's say animal or one other person, like animal for sure, but I did my part, and every person or animal that I help beyond that is it's just a bonus, you know? And so part of that helps you be the peace of mind, that you did your part, right? And another thing that happened, whether you would lose a partner, you lose a community, whatever you lose, or you feel loss, right? Some things happen, right? Sometimes we self-sabotage, right? Maybe you're like, that's where maybe your dependencies on food happen, right? Where you maybe relapse into something that you're like, I stayed away from this for a while, and now I'm back into it. Or, maybe someone gets back into alcohol or whatever happens, or get back into junk foods or something like that, right? And obviously, over time, we get so much better at that. We don't like go resort right to the worst thing. It might be something small like, I'll have a vegan chocolate chip cookie. Oh, that turns into, a bunch more, whatever, right? But what ended up happening for me was I was really great on my fitness and really great on my food and really great on most of the day. But what happened was my nighttime routine, I noticed it was like something gave, it wasn't like everything, but something gave and I started to feel it, started to not have as quality of sleep, right? Started, like being on the screen too much, right? Before bed, right? Or the things that aren't, I've used to learn like better routines over nighttime, just doing the things that you're not supposed to, right? And seeing how that was impacting the sleep and seeing how that was starting to make smaller impacts along the day, right? And then but also as we're aware, we're like, okay, something has to change. Something has to give, like something has to, unless you just let that cycle and snowball, right? But anyways, yeah, I think that's just a little bit of what I thought about. And then, yeah, so I mean, in a sacrifice, I mean, I don't look at sacrifice in a bad way anymore. Like in the beginning, it's like sacrifice, and you're like, whatever. There's so many negative ways to sacrifice, but I haven't looked at that anymore. It's like you're releasing something, even on a new moon or any kind of like ceremonies or anything, the release has always been a positive. It's like, well, you let this go, maybe it's holding you down, right? Or let's say you sell a bunch of things, right, that are clogging up space, cluttering up things, and you release it. Like it's not really a sacrifice, right? You're like, oh, I'm not gonna go out with my friends and have these drinks and like hurt myself in this moment. Well, that's not really a sacrifice, so kind of things like that. But overall, like the sacrifices we make, I've always now I look at it as a positive, for anything that we release. And I think but that took time. And I know that everyone's on a different point, of their journey and what they release. But I notice each time you do this, if you do this in a consistent way, you could release one or two things each time. And what you realize is it's small the first few times, and then you look back like, 5 years in, 10 years in, you're like, wow, I really have changed a lot. I really did release a lot of things. And I almost like someone meets you or re-meets you and you're like, whoa, you're a completely different person. And in the past, that used to be like, feel like a negative, right? But now I'm like, thank you so much. I've worked so hard to become a different person, not that I didn't like the other person. There's still parts of, all of us, but we do work to improve, and like we should be, evolving, like you're saying, for the positive. Hopefully not devolving, right? Or becoming more degenerate, right? Which is, obviously what's happening in parts of the world. So that's what I've got.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. And it's like a process, we're always gonna have things that throw us off. Like that's just the way life is. There's always gonna be challenges and things that are like, oh my God, that shook me, or I'm irritated, or I'm like not how I want to be. And we have to make a choice in this moment. And sometimes we're gonna make the wrong choice, but it's okay because we just keep doing our best and keep like reprogramming our mind and our beliefs to make it easier and easier and easier until we're just making the right choices left and right. We got synchronicities going on, things are looking good, and we fall off a lot less. So that's, yeah, for sure. Oh man. And Chantal, I know you jumped in late, but don't worry about it. I have this recorded. You can watch the beginning where we talked about the new moon in Aquarius. And then I was bringing in the human design and the gene keys. And that's why we're talking about codependency and like sacrifice. That's related to the gene key of 19, which is correlating with the degree of this new moon in Aquarius. But do you want to drop? I don't know forget what your rising sign is. If you want to drop what your rising sign is, if you need to stay muted, or if you want to unmute and tell us what your rising sign is, I can tell you what area of life that this new moon is happening for you.
I'll unmute real quick, but I might have to mute again. My
No
rising
problem.
sign is Leo.
Okay. Oh, that's the same as Jules. Is Nina's rising sign Leo, or is that her sun sign?
So I totally just wasted your time and messed up. I just like in my head, like rising to me, I thought
Like the
it was the
rising
main
sun.
sign. I don't know. I've been into
That's
astrology
okay.
for a while. I don't know how that happened. So Robbie's rising is Leo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So then you can listen to this one for for everybody. Okay, so Leo rising. So this is this new moon, and anything that's ever in Aquarius is in your seventh house. So the sun is transiting Aquarius, you have the new moon in Aquarius, you got Pluto in Aquarius, and whatever else. But this energy is all about the other. It's the seventh house. It's the opposite house to our rising house. And it has to do with our relationships. Mostly on a one-to-one level, not necessarily super deep, but it's also like it could be our marriage. But on the level of how do we work together? It could be business partnerships. It could be the public as well. It's anything that's not us. So a lot of times whatever's in the seventh house, we feel a little bit separated from because it's not us, but it is us. But we get the medicine from the seventh house through reflections. And so it's beneficial with anything in the seventh house to be involved with people in some way because they're going to be giving you things that you need to really evolve those archetypes and work with those archetypes that happen in the seventh house. But for the new moon, it's like that's a new energy, and it's especially new because we have the new Chinese New Year today. This is the first new moon of the year as well. So there's just like this really fresh energy that we have going on. And it's like fresh new relationships, new connections. Like I mean, you're here in this room today with all of us and meeting new friends and stuff. So all these new like things going on like can be giving you things about yourself that you were like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that. Or like, wow, they're totally reflecting something to me that makes so much sense. And they might not even know, like they might not even register that. It could be a random person at the store. And he said, yes, definitely new connections and more community. Yeah, dude, like that's exactly what it's about. Aquarius is all about community and it's all about liberation and being unique and being free and being yourself and being able to connect with others from your own unique place, like without conforming, without being like anybody else. So that makes so much sense. And listen to the replay, and then you can get a little like it goes a little bit deeper if you want. So we talked about the new moon. Another transit that's happening today is Mercury conjunct Pluto. So did you want to say something, Jules? Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry, I just had an itch.
Oh, okay. So I want to talk a little bit about that conjunction as well, because why not? It's tying into everything, right? So I touched on this a little bit before. Pluto just moved into Aquarius in November, where it's going to be for the next 20 years. It's a big cycle. It's a very transformative cycle. And depending on where that's landing in your birth chart, that's where you're going to feel this crazy, deep, powerful, transformative energy. Pluto is this journey from disempowerment and fear and the things that hold us back into being empowered and being transformed, becoming who we really meant to be, which nothing can ever shake. Like Pluto in its highest expression literally has no fear in a sense. And it's not that there's not fear that could come, it's just it knows how to transmute it. It knows how to shift it you know, quickly, but it doesn't have to happen quickly. With us, with the transit, Pluto, it's a slow process. It's a slow process. It's super far away from the sun. It's the underworld, right? But Pluto in its highest expression is not afraid of the dark. It's not afraid of the underworld. It's the ruler of the underworld. That's its realm. It's like, oh, fears? Like what? This is where I live. Like I live in the darkness and I soak it up. So this energy is always there, but it's very prominent, especially this year and actually the past few years, because as planets go to the ending degrees of a sign, it becomes really powerful. It becomes really heightened as it transitions into the next sign. And now we're in the beginning stages of this new sign in Aquarius, and we're starting to get this new, like, okay, we've accomplished, we've overcome, we've become empowered from the Capricorn phase that Pluto was in the last 15 years, 16 years, whatever it was. And now we're kind of stepping into this new thing, and other things are going to start to come from a different realm, a different area of life, and a different flavor of fears and things and limitations and anxieties and feeling like not in control from a whole different new perspective, a whole different place. You're welcome, Kevin. And no worries, Kevin. I'll send you the replay or it'll be posted. So we're starting this new journey with Pluto, and I'm not going to go crazy into it, even though we could do like a whole Pluto thing. It would be fun because it's really, really vital right now and really cool. But we are, actually, I was going to change that. Oh yeah, we're going into this new realm and getting these new fears that might be coming up. And Pluto is that journey of transforming that, becoming empowered. And so Pluto deals with control, it deals with our darkness, it deals with all the things that we just want to run and hide from. The only reason we want to run and hide from them is because we feel like we don't have any control. I mean, they say fear is a fear because you don't understand it. A lot of times we're just afraid of something because we don't really understand it. We don't understand where it's coming from, or we're afraid of the anticipation of a thing or a scenario that we think is bad, but maybe it's not bad. Like we don't know. That's the problem because we're not in control of everything because we're not God. And so that can be a scary place. We can't control what we can't control. So what can we do? We can become empowered in trust. I think this is a really big theme with Pluto. There has to be a level of trust of like the divine will of God and making the right choices as best we can with what we have at any given time, and then trust and let go and surrender and all of that. And that's like a conversation for another time, but that's the Pluto essence, right? So Mercury conjunct Pluto is our conscious mind. It is all these thoughts going on up here, all these cool ideas, and then we talk about them. So it's communication, and it's we're going out, we're doing this, this, and this, and la 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 la. Our conscious little like go, 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 take this over here, put it over here. That's Mercury. So Mercury's communication and all that stuff. So Mercury is pairing up with Pluto, right, in astrology, and it's saying like I'm consciously thinking about this topic. I'm consciously aware that there are things that freak me out. There are things that make me feel out of control. There are things that I want to be more empowered in my life. So it's bringing a conscious awareness to the darkness within you. And this is happening also in Aquarius. So same house that we talked about for wherever your rising is, it's happening in that house. And this is happening at a different degree. It's at 1 degree Aquarius. So we are looking at a whole different set of gene keys and a whole different human design gate. And are you guys good on time? I think it's like the top of the hour. I'm not going to go too much longer, but
Yeah, I gotta go soon, but I'm good for your wrap up. I'm not popping out early.
Okay, cool. It's not going to be that long, but because we already went over our risings. So something interesting.
My bad.
It's okay, Jules. No problem. Something interesting that's happening. It's not that interesting, but something that's happening in this transition. We're all like, whoa, Pluto went into Aquarius. We're in the new thing, yay. But actually, sorry if you can hear Indigo in the background. Actually, Pluto is still in the same gene key and same human design gate that it was in on and off since 2021 in February. So we are actually not in the new energy completely yet. We are in the new energy, yes, but in human design gene keys, we're still in the transition between Capricorn to Aquarius. So we're in this transitional time still. And this is the 60. This is the 60th gene key, 60th human design gate. It's also located in the root. So the 19 that we talked about with the moon is in the root. This one's also in the root. So we have a lot of this grounded, rooted energy going on. And the gene key sequence for the 60 is limitation is the shadow, realism is the gift, and justice is the city or the highest expression. And I love this. I really love this gene. I like all the gene keys. I mean, what's not to love? But I really loved this one because this time, and it's relevant today because of the transit, but it's relevant for this whole year while Pluto is still in the 60 on and off until December of this year. And this is all about accepting your current reality, being present in what we have going on right now. I'm I'm really, really bad at not bad with this, but I'm that kind of person that loves to fantasize, visualize. I'm gonna play over here, I'm gonna go over here, la 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 la, fantasy, like my little brain, I love that. And I've had to learn and still am learning for my life like you can't live like that because you're not living, you're just out here. You can go there and visit, but you have to remember where you are. This is all that is really there. This is all you have energy for. This is your life. And if you're all the way over here, which is great sometimes, I make a vision board, visualize, but you can't live there. You can't escape in your mind, which some people are better than others at this, but this comes back to the realism because we're actually being in that realism, that's the gift, that's the present moment, and accepting your reality. Acceptance is the human design gate name, the gate of acceptance. And accepting what your reality is the only way that you can ever enjoy life. If you're always trying to escape your life, you are not accepting your life, you will not enjoy life, and you can't really live life. And you're probably not going to even call in the next things that you actually want. And so I guess we'll wrap up with that, if that makes sense. So it's this, the main thing is presence in reality. And this is really huge, and I know it can be a process of having to continuously pull yourself back into what that really means. And if the reality that is in front of you is not something that you are happy with, yes, Jules.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that, yeah. So we are just very similar because I also am super into, like, I read it in a book on my juice fast that called it time traveling. So like going to the future in your mind, or what I used to do, lingering on the past. I used to live in my past, which wasn't a good reality, and I was missing. And my mom always says, if you have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're pissing all over the present. That's what she says. Lovely, I know, but
That's
yeah,
so funny.
yeah. So I can definitely get lost in the escapism, lost in the dream, and I have been practicing a lot of, like, be here now, be right here, right now, because motherhood is such a freaking trip. It's like you waited your whole life to be here, or many of us did, and we were so excited, fantasizing about this time right here. And then when we're in it, we're like, oh, I never get time. The laundry's not done. I didn't vacuum. Blah, blah, blah. And we can get really like, wait a second. This moment is what we always wanted, and we're doing our dream right here, right now. We don't have to wait, for the future moments, because we can appreciate right now. So yeah, like, that was beautiful. And even though I gave you the sun signs, it was still really lovely to hear what you had to say, because it still feels good, like, to hear that advice and reminders of stuff, and it's overall just really helpful. And then I take it with me, kind of like along with me till the next meeting that you hold. And yeah, it's really cool. It's so exciting. It seems exciting because we don't have a guidebook to life. We don't have instructions on being being me, you know, being you. So this gives us a little bit of insight. So I'm really happy and grateful for your expertise, and you're so good at this. Like the way you deliver it is fun and exciting, and you really know your stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. I love it. This helps me too because I can go about my whole day and just not think about what's going on, just being like, oh, I gotta deal with this, like this and this and this. But then when you do reflect on it, like it's meant to be a reflection, and it's can give you peace, and you can be like, wow, I'm actually like, okay, cool, like this is what I should do. Okay, this is how I should like, okay, I gotta just get present. This is the time. This is what's happening right now. It's not just me going, like we're all having to do that. Um, so it can be reassuring for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, one last thing I was thinking, I don't know about you guys, but for me, most of my life, it was really easy for me to understand other people. Like I could analyze people and like kind of understand their emotions. And I was like, who am I? Like it's so confusing. I could understand who this person is, but who the heck am I? And like being a water sign, just like trying to figure it out through these ways of like, you know, astrology and human design was so like satisfying to me, because I just was like, what do other people perceive me at? How do they perceive me? I don't know, you know, like, and just it over time it's gotten easier, and through these modalities, astrology and other things, like I've really come to know myself better. So yeah, I find it to be really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the purpose. It's like to be, I mean, in human design, they say it's like I think I'm saying this right, the science of differentiation. So being able to differentiate what is my energy versus the transiting energy versus this person's energy, so that you're not like, you're not letting it throw you. You're like, okay, this is like my consistent self. And I can take in these other things, but I know my consistent self. I know what I have the energy for consistently, how I operate consistently, how I make decisions, how I function. And I'm always improving like my life with that. But it kind of gives you peace because it's more like the energy in your body, not necessarily like, I don't know, they're just different. You know, astrology is archetypes. It's playing in archetypes. It's really what it is. And we're always evolving those archetypes. I love all of them. Yeah, I think using them all combined helps you to really get an understanding of who you are, but you know, never let it hold you back. Never let it be the reason why you are staying in a box or not growing or blaming, like being a victim. At that point, it's become not good, and you should take a break from it. You know, anyone listening to this, if that's how you feel, we're like, oh my god, this transit and now I can't go anywhere, like no, that's not where you want to be. No, 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 take a break, live your life for a little bit, come back later if you need to. But it's always meant to expand you. If it's not feeling expansive, you're either talking to like someone's helping you and they're telling you the wrong things, or you just need to not do it. But yeah. This was so fun. And you guys and anybody listening to this, we will have the next meetup is going to be for Imbolc, which is the midwinter, like the midway between this winter solstice and the spring equinox. And we're going to do a fun gathering, and that's on Saturday, the 1st of February at 6 p.m. Eastern. And that'll be on Zoom as well. And I'm really, really excited for that one. Hey, girly. What's up? I like
Say
your
hi.
jammies.
Say thank you. She's talking to you. This is Nicole and Frida and Frida's babies. Nyla. Is that Nyla or is that Dio?
It's Nyla.
Oh, tell me again.
Nyla.
Nyla. Hey, sweetie.
Ah.
You have a cute dress on too. You girls look cute today.
Say thank you.
She's like,
Mia was wearing her pajamas today because Fiverr was gonna make a mess on her.
So Nina always like dresses really nicely and she's very stylish and I always encourage her to do the self-care in the morning. And then she's like, "But Mom, you're just still wearing your pajamas." And she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because it'll only be 5 minutes before I get food smeared all over me and it's just not worth it." But I did get some cotton long dresses at Plato's this last weekend. I scored so many expensive clothing, natural materials, even a linen cotton blend. And so I do have dresses now. So Nina and I can just dress up for fun. I know Britt said she frolics in the woods with her daughter in long dresses. And I was
"Oh,
like, I need to do that. So we're gonna get Mom into a dress maybe tomorrow.
that would be so cute." That's the best.
I'll send
That's so
pictures.
fun. Yes.
All right,
Yay.
can't wait for your next one. And just thank you for your time. It's such a such a helpful and like it's just so nice. It makes you feel better to have guidance. So thank you, and we love you, and we can't
Love you
wait for your
guys.
next workshop. We love you too, Frida. It's so good to see you.
You guys.
Thank
Thank-
you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you guys for being here, and I can't wait for next time.
See you next time.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.